Hi, it's a breezy May day in upstate New York, 2013. This is going to be a tutorial on how to remove a stump. Now you might ask, where's a stump? All I see is a tree. Well, that's my first piece of advice. If you can, try to take down a tree rather than working with a stump. The reason is that you can use the tree for leverage. Even though you'll have to do a lot of work to get the roots cut, some of those bottom roots will be very hard to get to, but if you have the leverage of the tree, you can pull it over. You may be able to extract the roots or bend it so that you can get to those roots. So ideally, you'll start with either a very tall trunk or a whole tree, as I'll be doing. Some of the tools that I find most important are a double bit axe. I use the double bit because you're going to dull the blades rather quickly working on the roots. So you get one dull and you switch to the other one. I take it a step further. I actually start out with two double bit axes. Beyond that, probably the most useful tool is a mat axe. This is what you'll use when you can't see where the root is. It's buried in the dirt and you want to cut through without having to expose the root completely. The axe you want to reserve for when you've just got wood exposed and you're just cutting a root. Because you're going to be cutting into the dirt with a mat axe, you're going to dull it. So I usually don't bother trying to sharpen the edges. You're going to be cutting down under a root to small roots that are holding a big root and you can't see it, but you can use either this in a chopping mode or this in a hoeing mode to get under the root or to get through a root that you don't want to have to expose. Because you don't want to dull your axe, you're going to want to get the roots completely exposed and you're going to want to have them clean. So two tools that I use, and this may seem just too fastidious, I use a little trowel and a brush. Once I've gotten all of the dirt out of the way with shovels and other tools, then I'll use the brush to really expose it down to the bark that's on the roots, because little bits of sand and sometimes little bits of dirt in there can dull your blade. Hopefully we won't need it, but a wrecking bar. The initial excavation of the dirt away from the roots is probably most convenient to do with just a regular hoe, and you just kind of pull it back off of the roots. As you get deeper though, it's going to be inconvenient trying to use the hoe to pull that dirt back up onto the pile, so you're going to need to switch to a shovel. And as you get deeper, one of these triangular hoes is helpful because you'll have roots that you want to get between, and the 90-degree angle on the corner of a regular hoe isn't good enough to get between the roots, but this can reach down. I'm estimating this will take me probably about 6 hours of work to get the roots all exposed and really get the thing down. And unfortunately I'm talking about continuous work, not working and resting as I have to do because I'm old and got a pacemaker. So right now I'm clearing away the work area, and this may look like it's a excessive amount, but the fact is, for a tree this large, we're going to need a good 3.5 to 4 feet of space, and we'll excavate down. And when I say excavate, I mean everything. So we're going to be taking the roots out. We're not going to try and cut the roots, but we're actually going to have to come to the outside and chop them, and then to the inside, so that we're removing the whole root and anything else that's in the area, so that we can get down probably a good 2, maybe 2.5 feet. This is glacial till, so it's got a fair number of rocks in it, but to get started, the mat axe is really a great tool because you can just do shallow swings and pop the sod off. Now that we've used the hoe to expose some of the smaller roots near surface, it's time to start cutting these. And we want to really remove them. And since there's going to be a lot of roots, we want to get as much of it out as we can so we don't have to cut it too many times. So grab a root and try to find where it's anchored and then cut it accordingly, getting as much as we can each time. Now, one thing with roots is you always want to cut on the part away from the tree, because this is now fairly well supported by the root going each direction, and you want it to be well supported so that when you hit it, it doesn't have any place to go and it'll get cut. You do that one first while it's well supported on each side. The near end will always be fastened to something that's a lot stronger. Now I'll go through this one. Okay, now we see it's going back this way. For the moment we'll cut this one off and worry about where it goes later. We need to deepen our draw point a little bit, and this is where the trowel starts coming in handy, because we need to expose the roots that we're going to have to cut to do it. And we see we've got 2 roots coming together at this location. So what we'll do is we'll expose these right near the edge. This is the first root we cut, trying to keep a nearly vertical face. And we'll cut this root here and then see what else it's sending off, because it probably has other roots going out from under it, but once we sever that, we'll be able to tell what's going on with it. So it's got another root right in there. And that loosens it up pretty well, so now we'll expose it right up against the tree and we'll cut that. We'll clean that out real well so that we can use the axe, because it'll be thicker, and the mat axe really tends to smash more than it does to cut. Okay, here's the root we want to cut. We've cut the far end of it and dug around with the trowel and used the brush to get any of the sand and rocks out of there. It's got other roots in close proximity, so right about here is the closest we can get to the trunk without having interference from the other roots. Now, this is a thick enough root so that I'm not likely to get through it in a single swing. So I'm going to have to remove wood as I go. So I'll do my first cut at an angle like this, second cut is an angle like that, and that will pop a big chip out of there. Then hopefully a third swing will get through it. So we'll aim for right there. Wow. Okay, so you see how the objective is to move wood away, not just to hack at it, but to actually make pieces leave. So, okay, we've got the next root exposed, and it's growing out of this major root here. So I'm going to have to cut it right about there. It's small enough and juicy enough that I may be able to get it with a single swing, but we'll see. Starting to get down to some major roots, so I've gone ahead and put chain up to the top of the tree, and it's about 18 feet up and it's going out to another tree. This is the first big buttress root, severed already on the far side. Now I'm going to have to take and sever it away from the main trunk there. The buttress roots tend to be deeper than they are wide. That, plus the fact that it's sloping down, means we need to start with a really wide V. What you don't want to do is cut a narrow notch and then be chopping down in the bottom of it trying to make sawdust. You really want to be taking big chunks out, having them go flying, and that's actually a lot easier than chopping over and over again in the same place. It's just about a week later, and I've put in a total now of probably about 6 hours worth of work. Haven't gotten it down to the 2 feet I was afraid I'd need to go to, but got a lot of roots out, and more rocks than I really wanted to get, but not as bad as it could have been. I'm starting to see some cracking in the soil right to the left of the base. It's been a pretty windy day, and the fact that I'm seeing that movement indicates the tree may be ready to go. I haven't really finished all of the digging and root cutting that I expected to do. I've got probably another 60 degrees over there that I'd like to take out, but since the tree is starting to make some movement in the soil, I'm about ready to go after it. What you see out here is I've fastened on 2 cable winches, one over there and one way out there, and I'm going to start cranking on those.